Okay, so this is a how-to on finding exact sunrise and exact sunset for a particular date on Stellarium Web. So what we're going to do is we are going to be setting up for a specific day and then identifying when the exact sunrise is to the nearest second. So first thing we got to do is select our date and stop the clock so it's not running. So we're going to go to the clock. Down here in the lower right-hand corner, we're going to hit pause. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the first day of spring, because that's going to be our first important date. So in 2021, the first day of spring is on March 20th. So I'm going to change the date to March 20th. There we go. And then I need to find the sun, because I want to find sunrise. So under the search field, I'm going to put in sun up here at the top. And it's going to give me a selection list. I'm going to select sun. And that's going to highlight the sun in these cross brackets, but it's also going to bring up this, this window up here on the left. And now this is the information that we're going to be using to find exact sunrise and exact sunset. So the information we want to look at is right here. It is the azimuth is the 297 degrees, 23 minutes, and 5.2 seconds. The altitude is the negative 2441.06.9. That's the information we're going to use to find exact sunrise and sunset. So underneath this, it tells us that sunrise is going to be on this day. Sunrise is going to be about 6:55. Now this time is a rough estimate. It's not an exact sunrise. So what we're going to do is we're going to set the clock to this time. So I'm going to go back to the clock in the bottom right-hand corner, and I'm going to change this to 6:57. And that number literally just changed on me, so I'm going to just keep an eye on it. And again, this is just a rough estimate of when sunrise is. So I have it at 6:57, and I can even change it to 6:57.0. So there we go, 6:57. That matches when it says sunrise is. Now what I'm interested in doing is to find exact sunrise. I need the altitude to be as close to 0 degrees, 0 minutes, and 0 seconds as possible. Right now I have 11 minutes and 49.8 seconds. So I need to get this dialed in to close to 0 as I can get. So the way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to use the clock. I'm going to go to the clock, and I'm going to change the minute and see if I can get that number to be smaller. So I'm going to start off by going on the. I'm just going to use the start off by going down back in time a little bit by 1 minute. So going back in time, that actually raised the number. It made it farther from 0. So now instead of -17, now it's -20. So that's the wrong direction. So I'm going to use the other direction, and I'm going to click there, make it 6:58. So now instead of 17 minutes, it's only 2 minutes. So I'm going to go one more, and that actually made it farther from 0. Now instead of 2 minutes, it's actually at 5 minutes. So I'm going to go back to 6:58. Now I need to use the seconds. So again, I'm going to go down first. So right now I'm at 2 minutes and 56.4 seconds. So I'm going to go back in time first. That actually made it 3 minutes and 5.3 seconds. So I'm going to go forward in time, back to 2 minutes and 56 seconds. Again, I'm looking here in the sun data window at the altitude. So still not close to 0, so I'm going to go forward, forward. I'm at 2 minutes 38, 2:29, 2:20. I can go kind of far here. Let's jump quite a bit. Okay, there I'm at 28.5 seconds. Oh, I'm going the wrong way now, so I got to go backwards. 19.6 seconds, 10.7 seconds. 1.7 seconds. That's pretty close to 0 right there. If I go one more, it's back up to 7. So the closest that I can get for me on my model, my computer model right now, the closest altitude I can get to 0 degrees, 0 minutes, and 0 seconds is positive 1.7 seconds. So now that I've dialed this in so that the altitude is closest to 0, now I have identified when exact sunrise is on my model. So this is my time. My time is 6:58:19. That's going to go in our sunrise row at the top of each table. And I'm going to record the azimuth, and then I'm going to record the altitude. So then the next thing we want to do is we want to record the sun's position for every hour, for every whole hour. So think about counting by whole numbers. I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4. So the next whole hour after 6:58:19, the next whole hour is going to be 7 o'clock. And that's 7 o'clock exactly. So I'm going to set up the clock to read 7 o'clock exactly. And then I'm going to record both the azimuth and altitude for the sun. Then I'm going to go to the clock again, change it to 8 o'clock, do the same thing, record the altitude or the azimuth and altitude. And you keep doing that until you get to the last row of the table. Now the last row is reserved for sunset. And in order to figure out sunset, we're going to do the same exact thing that we did for sunrise. So during sunset, notice that the sun is now setting in the west. I'm going to get it as close as I can. Sunset, according to this data window, is at 1900 hours and 8 minutes. So I'm going to go to 1900 hours and 8 minutes. And now I'm going to adjust. So I need to get the altitude again as close to 0 as possible. So I'm going to do this by adjusting the minutes. The first thing I'm going to do is going to go back. I'm going to go back in time by 1 minute. And my number went down. Okay, so now I went from 22 to 13 minutes. So I'm going to keep going back. Now I'm at 4 minutes. Oh, now I switched from negative to positive. And that was still closer. So now I'm at 4 minutes and 6 seconds. And that's the closest I can get with the minutes. So now I'm going to go to seconds. So now I'm going to go forward. I'm at 3 minutes, 57.7 seconds. 3 minutes, 39 seconds. 3 minutes, 31 seconds. So this is going to take a little while. So I'm going to go forward a few seconds here just by holding down that button. So now I'm at 50 seconds, getting pretty close now. Go forward a little bit more. Now I'm at 6.2 seconds. Whoop, too far. 2.7 seconds. 6.2. Okay, so the closest I'm going to get is negative 2.7 seconds. The negative just means that it's actually past sunset by a very short amount, but it's the closest I can get to getting the altitude to be 0. So now for the last row on the data table, the time is going to be 19:05:28, and then I would record the azimuth and altitude in the data table. All right, so that's how you determine exact sunrise. That's how you dial in the time for every whole hour and make your observations for each whole hour. And then for the last row, that's how you do sunset. And that's it.